In this movie, I will create a simple example simply to demonstrate how controls can be placed on the form and how you can write a very simple line of code to allow the user to interact with your application. For this example, I will need two objects. I will need a button, so I'll click on button and drag it onto the form. I'll also need a label, so I'll click the label icon from the toolbox, select, and draw it onto the form. The first thing I want to do is to affect the label, and that is I want to change the default border style. If you select label 1 and move over to the properties window, making sure you are operating on label 1, find in the properties list a property called border style. By default, the border style is none. If I click on the drop down arrow, I'll choose Fix 3D. This will give me a little bit of a focus on the label control. Now this is a very simple example, so all I need at this point is a line of code to allow the user to interact with the button. The simplest way to write code for a button is to, at design time, which is what we are in currently, design time, is to double click the button. By double clicking, you automatically open the event procedure for the button one click event. That is, when the user clicks button 1, the code we're about to write will be executed. Since I know the name of the label is label 1, I will type label1.text equals, and then in quotation marks I will place a simple phrase such as, hello, how are you? Once you're finished, you can now either return to the form or click on by clicking the form1.vb tab. You can return to the code by clicking the form1.vb tab. You can toggle back and forth between these two views, but you can run the project from any view, whether the design view or the code view. To run, the simplest way is to simply click the Start Debugging control on the toolbar. Click Start, and the project begins to run. The form is movable, and you'll notice at the top of the screen it does say running, so we are in runtime mode at this point in time. When the user clicks on button 1, the phrase that we typed into our code, hello, how are you, does indeed appear. Now let's just make one quick alteration to this. So I'll close this window by clicking the close button on the form itself, returning me to the design mode. And once again, I will return to the label, and I will change the property, the font property, and I'll make this a little bit bigger. So I want to change the font to bold italic size of 12. I will then click OK, and you'll immediately see that label 1 does indeed look different. Run the project by clicking the Run button. The form appears, I click on button, and once again you see the phrase, but this time in a different font. Now what you have to be careful about is that you don't make your fonts too large, otherwise your objects may not fit on the form properly. Now if this were a real project, we would then begin talking about how to save this and obviously make this a little more complex. In a future movie we will discuss saving and modifying an existing project.